AD 135, when the Jewish polity was completely destroyed, the Roman Empire Hadrian just hated the Jews because they, in their resistance to the Roman conquest, just caused the death of so many Roman soldiers that Hadrian just plowed over Jerusalem. He changed the name of Israel, the name of the land, to Palestine, and he took the name from the fact that the Philistines were a prominent source of trouble to the Jews in the Holy Land. The Philistines migrated from the Greek Isles to the southwest part of Palestine, and there they caused continual trouble. They had a foothold to the Jews down through the centuries, a very minor part of the land. So Hadrian says, okay, I'll get back at you guys, and I'll call the land Palestina after your enemies.
So then from AD 135 on, that section of land is now called, in English, Palestine.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's where the name came. Not from the Arabs, but from the Roman Empire, or emperor. Okay, so also mandates were given to France to bring about, prepare Syria and other Lebanon for independence also. So this was passed by the League of Nations. It became international law that the Jews would become have a Jewish state in the Holy Land or Palestine. Now, something happened. By the 1930s, large quantities of oil were discovered in Arab countries like Saudi Arabia and all through that area. Now, Great Britain wanted oil. They had a mandate to make Palestine a Jewish state. But the Arabs says, we don't want Jews in Palestine. We want that territory too. We're not going to have an island of a Jewish state in the midst of our countries all around there. We want that land also. So England actually violated the League of Nations mandate. Article 2 of the League of Nations mandate said that people already living in the Holy Land, when the British would start preparing it for a Jewish state, would have rights. And Christians, non-Arab Christians, and Arabs lived in the Holy Land, so they had rights. And their rights were to be protected. But Arabs moving into the country was a violation of the League of Nations mandate. The only people that had a right under the mandate to immigrate to Palestine were Jews. But because of the oil discoveries, England let Palestine become flooded with Arabs who were taking advantage of jobs that were being provided, as we said, by the Jewish infrastructure that was being developed here. But this was a violation of the mandate. Now you come to the end of World War II, the League of Nations, and the League of Nations, because of the guilt of the Gentile powers in permitting the Holocaust, in which 6 million Jews were killed, the United Nations finally voted that the Jews could have a segment of Palestine, and they were going to partition Palestine into two parts and give the Jews a smaller part. But this was a violation of international law. The partition of Israel and setting up the Israeli state in 1948 in a smaller portion of the land of Palestine was a violation of international law, because Article 8 of the UN Charter states that the UN cannot pass any laws that would violate or replace the laws passed by the League of Nations.
Okay, so what you've established again, to sum up, we've looked at things very, very briefly, and all of this is very briefly, prophetically, historically, and legally. So the bottom line, when you put those three things together, is if you take any one of those three, even separate from the other two, you still have a sense that Israel has a right to be there. And not only do they have a right to be there, but they are in a diminished state, if you will, based on what was promised to them from a legal standpoint in our recent history, not even going back to ancient history. So that gives us a good sense of how to deal with all of this. Now, let's go to the phones. We have John on the line. John from Ledyard, Connecticut.
Hey, good morning, guys.
How you doing, John?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good.
I'm waiting out to Mass. I wanted to say one thing.
Okay.
We have no right, okay, as a country, to tell anybody else where they belong.
Okay.
Because we're no different than the people we're trying to defeat. If you sit back and think about it, the people that we're trying to say that they're doing wrong, we're doing the same thing, unless we're not killing them. Same thing.
Okay, so now what's the point in relation to the Israel-Palestinian debate here?
If these two individuals, or so these two groups, say one belongs there, then the other one says they belong there, who are we as a country to say they don't belong there themselves? Let them figure it out.
Well, if we had let them figure it out, you realize when you look at history, what happened is you have recent history, you have wars happening where Israel wins the war. Now, they figure it out, and then Israel gives the land back after they win the war and say, let's live together. And
I guess my point is that us as a country, we try to play Big Brother all the time.
Okay.
Let them figure it out. It's a holy war. You're never going to win a holy war. You can throw as many bombs as you want to. You're not going to win a holy war. You're just not going to.
All right, John, we're up against a break. We have to go.
Thank you much. Good input.
And Ken, what we'll ask you to do is give a couple of comments on that on the other side of our break. Folks, we're talking about Israel, the Palestinians, the land rights, prophecy, history, legality, and now practicality.
This is Jonathan and Rick and special guest Ken Rawson. Our subject is, should it be Israel or Palestine? Stay tuned.
You're listening to Christian Questions.